Ah,
Welcome to the podcast today. This is the Emma Lovell Show, and we are talking all things pleasure, how to combine business, travel, and self-care. And I have with me today the fabulous and wonderful Natasha Collins. Welcome.
thanks for having me, Emma. I'm excited to be here.
Now, I would love for you to introduce and say a little bit about you in your words, and we're obviously going to talk way more about it, but tell us, who are you, Natasha?
Well, obviously, I'm Natasha Collins. I am a business owner of three businesses that I share with my husband. We have a mining maintenance company based in Western Australia in iron ore and the gold commodities predominantly, and we work on fixed plant machinery, so very much in the dirt. And I'm the business manager of that company. We also have a shared community partnership that looks at community employment for our youth in the area, and if we're trying to open pathways for youth employment. So in our small communities here, which is great. And then we also have a business improvement company that we've started 2 years ago, which is a great deal of fun. And we offer business improvement strategies to small to medium sized companies.
I love
That's
that.
me.
And you live in a very interesting part of the world and you're talking about mining. So tell us a little bit about that, like where you're based, because I think that sort of
Yeah.
sums a lot of the work, a lot of where the
Y-
businesses come from.
Yeah, sure. I'm in the Pilbara area of Western Australia. So that's halfway in between Perth and Darwin. And we live right on the coast in a small town called Point Sampson. It's about 300 people in our town. Very small community. Love living here, especially this time of year. It's winter in Australia. So we're sort of sitting on about 25 degrees during the day, and it's just magical. I spend half my time in Perth. So I do 2 weeks at home and 2 weeks in Perth because both businesses also have offices in Perth. So a bit of a transient lifestyle, but I do love it.
And so the Pilbara, like just for people who haven't seen it or been there, like it is like red, right? It's like,
Red, red
yes.
dirt, iron ore rocks everywhere. Lots of beautiful beaches, obviously on the coast, but um, Karajini is based here. So we've got the gorges, we've got the waterfalls. Yeah, it's pretty specky. God's country.
And so, yeah, and if someone's listening from overseas, like Perth to Darwin, I love people sort of say like, oh, so you just like pop. Someone said
Mm,
for me for like Gold Coast to Cairns, they were like, you can just pop
yeah,
up to Cairns. I was like, you got 18 hours and 2.5 hours on a
yeah.
flight. Like, so hey, when we're saying, those,
So for me to drive to Perth is 1,600 kilometers. So it's, takes a full day or, a couple of days.
yeah,
So no, we fly. We don't drive very often.
fly. And then and to Darwin is another, uh,
2,000.
you would
Yeah.
have to go, can you go through or do you have to go up around?
You can go through on the coast.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Australia is a very big country. And when you're in WA, Western Australia, I think it really showcases, you're like, oh my gosh, like
It's
there's
very remote.
a
Yes.
lot of land. A lot.
There's a lot of open, long roads.
Yeah, you like looking at nothing. Someone said to me,
Yeah.
I was like, they lived in Longreach growing up, and he said, do you like looking at nothing for a long time? And I was like, I actually do.
There's no trees, there's a few shrubs. You just keep driving, a few kangaroos, a few cows. It's about it.
This is like the what people would like if they wanted to get to like a real Australia or like
Yeah.
what I guess it might have looked like a long
Yeah,
time.
for sure.
This is
Yeah.
here and that. And on that, I'd love to talk to then your community partnerships because that is something that your region, it's something that
Yeah.
maybe some areas of Australia don't have that interaction with our, Australia's what the world's oldest living culture,
Mm.
obviously more present where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So we decided that the local kids in our community, being Point Sampson, Wickham, and Roban, were really struggling to get a start in the mining community if their parents weren't in the mining community. So Um, my husband's parents weren't in the mining community. He struggled to get an apprenticeship when all his peers were getting apprenticeships. So we thought, what can we do for these kids? How can we get them started into, what is a great, great career? So we found some people that live in Roban that have now become our friends, and we started a partnership because they're based in Roban. They've got the community connections there. We've got the community connections in Point Sampson, and it's all about identifying the young youth and if they, and where they want to go in life. So what is it they want to do? Do they want to go into mining? Do they want to be a boilermaker? Do they want to be a fitter? Would they like an administration traineeship? What does that look like for them? And really honing in on what they want and seeing how we can help them get across the line. Some people want to be a trades assistant, so we bring them into our workshop in our Title Solutions business. We train them in basic safety, around culture in the workplace, coming to work on time. How do they get to work? All of this stuff. We train them, and when we feel that they're ready to go to site, then we can send them to site once they've got the capacity. So it's really sits in our ethos of changing one life at a time through sustainable and ethical employment. And that's how we just, it's only a small business, but, we've had apprentices come through that are now nearly at completion. And, for these guys to be coming out as a fitter or a boilermaker, these are really skills in Australia that are lacking. So if we can offer these apprenticeships and try and get one apprentice through at a time, yeah, it's great.
Oh, and it's such a fantastic like once you sort of got that skill set. One of my friends who I've put him in touch, but he was just took off on a camper van year
Yeah,
around Australia and left the mining work, but then sort of needed a little bit of funds, but also got reached out to. And they're now flying him from anywhere in Australia that they are from the camper van, and he's going and doing a few weeks and then taking another month
yeah.
off because he has that base of and now that skill set that is in demand.
That's right. And that's what it comes down to about, them being able to do exactly what they want and live the life that they're designing rather than, just going through the motions of employment that doesn't mean anything to them.
And how did you get into, I mean, because you said like your husband Rob, like it was a little bit challenging initially for him to get into it. So was that sort of from behind starting the business? Like how did you come to be in it?
In mining, I was never in mining. So I started my own business when I was 26 in travel. So I had a travel agency. And then when we were 32, Rob decided he was going to start a business. So of course I was like, yep, let's do it. I'd sold the travel agency. So we jumped in and started a business for mining maintenance support and just started off in the basic space of washdowns. And then it grew from there. The clients would ring and say, oh, noticed you on site. You were doing washdowns, but with Rob's knowledge of being on the local sites, they knew what he was capable of, and it just snowballed from there. It was a mining boom. It was 2010. There was a shortage of labour. There was a shortage of people being able to do stuff. So we literally, were in the right space at the right time, and it just took off. And yeah, we've been in business 15 years now, and we've been through some really tough times, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Yeah, it's been fun most
Incredible.
days.
Yeah, yes, of course. But wow, okay. I didn't know the travel bit.
Yeah,
I had to
okay.
travel, but I didn't know that you had the travel
Yeah,
agency
no,
before.
no. I worked for Ansett for a few years, and then I brought the local travel agency.
And now, and well, like travel is obviously just part of your life because you're
Yeah,
so transient with Perth and um,
yeah,
with a Pilbara. But then, well, we should talk about your third business because that's
yeah,
a level of travel as well. So how did
yeah.
that come to be?
So in the mining downturn, I decided that I didn't have enough knowledge to run our business, our mining maintenance business, and we needed to improve it, but I didn't know how to improve it. So what could I do differently? So of course, if I wasn't busy enough, I jumped in and enrolled to do my master's in business, so my MBA. So I jumped in and did that. And the last unit of my MBA was international business, and we had to write a report about taking our business internationally and what that business model would look like if we went overseas with our business. But at the time, we were still in the grips of COVID, so I couldn't see how, when we had boilermakers and fitters as our main commodity, how I could take them overseas when they were in such short supply in Australia. So in this report, I flipped it on its head and went, well, if I'm going to improve our business, how can I improve our business? And maybe I could bring the internationals into my business. So, what would that look like? So, we had already brought some Filipinos in to work in our business. I've always been heavily embedded in the Filipino culture. So I said to my husband, what about we look at starting an outsourcing business so that we would leave the people in the Philippines, but they would work in our business in Australia, and that would reduce labor costs, and it would also there's such a shortage of administrators, that would help us get people in to do the administration work. And I remember him clearly saying, no, we don't need to do this. We, write the report, but we're not going to do this. Don't get, I think you're just going crazy. Anyway, I wrote the report and it just made sense, more and more sense to me. So I booked a ticket to the Philippines and said, come on, we're going, and formed a company over there and found, did some recruitment for an operations manager and my first VA and virtual assistant. And yeah, the rest is history. So now we work, predominantly in the mining maintenance space or of industry, and we look at now going in and at the whole business. So we'll look at how can you do business better? What does that look like? My Australian's operations manager is very heavily in the leadership and business improvement, and I'm in the business management. So we work together and we come into your business. We look at how we can improve it. What does that look like? What support do you need? And yeah, it's a holistic approach to the whole business.
I think that's really great because, well, I have VAs and I've had VAs
Mm,
with you, but you sometimes people, I think the hardest thing is for when they're getting started is they don't know actually how to
mm,
work with a virtual assistant,
mm.
in what area of their business to put them in. And obviously, not obviously, I am a very small business, but potentially, if you got a few team members or something,
Mm,
there's gaps, and it's how do we fill those gaps uh,
hmm.
and bring them on board appropriately. And what I used to hear a lot of is like VAs don't work or it didn't work for me,
Yeah, didn't work for me. I hear that all the time.
or I don't. I think it's the I don't. They probably also don't. It's not having enough time. So the thing that I
Mm,
was that I've ne since hiring VAs, I've never given up. I've had different people, but I've never
mm.
stopped because it's you know it's the processes and it's the time with them and it's the working out what you do and what they do as well, or where they fit
Yeah,
in. And obviously, when
where
it's a
they
big
fit.
business, yeah, there's culture, there's personality, there's task, like there's a few elements, but just to blanket say, or it doesn't work, or and I think the other thing that people like they don't know where to start. It's too overwhelming to I don't know what to outsource or where to outsource, and so they don't know where to start.
Mm.
And so
It,
yeah,
it can be really difficult, especially because people are under the assumption that they will bring a virtual assistant in, whether that be an engineer, a mobilization officer, whatever that role looks like in your business, an accountant. It can be anything, but you still have to train them in your business. It's not just put them in and they know what to do. They still require the same amount of training as what bringing an Australian in would do. Um, but it works so well once you invest in the time. And also at Amity, we're here to hold people's hands. We don't just throw a VA in or an engineer and say off you go. Your issue. Our operations manager will work through the culture issues, through technical issues of onboarding them, getting them up and running. It's all very structured. We're an ISO accredited company, so we are very strict on our record management, how our team members are onboarded, all of that stuff. It's very ethical and safe. I guess there's lots of companies out there that do cheap and cheerful. That's not where we sit. We just want to be, we want to offer a whole solution to Australian companies.
yes, and I can attest that the customer service is very good, but you have
Mm.
to have the time. And
Yeah,
if you don't have the time or capacity, then it's not going to be a fix. And it's meant to be a long term. And that's like
yeah,
the view that it's long term. Unfortunately, I think people, when they are, and I know I speak for myself too, I'll take responsibility. When you're already in the thick of it, you just want the help and you want the help now.
yeah,
And of
yeah.
course you do, but it's just not going to work out like that. If
No,
can't then, and I know that I've had people go because I can't manage this at the moment. So
yeah,
potentially. what you need to do some more work in your own business and figure
Yeah.
out what you
Yeah.
need to be doing. And then it's like, okay, now I know that. Now
Yeah.
let's bring in the
And
people.
that's, for more medium-sized businesses, we can come and sit and look and see what you need, do a whole audit on what's going on for you, and then map the process of how this role can work. So, what do you need? This is what I need. Okay, how's that going to work? What can we do? Where can we, put the gap stoppers in?
Yeah, absolutely. But
Mm.
then so that all the businesses work together because like I think
Yeah.
someone hears three businesses are like, oh my God, when do you sleep?
Yeah, I'm very strict on that, but I do manage to sleep. But I also have a really good team that help me. Obviously it's not all me, but yeah, I do love it. And I do love being busy, so I don't think there'll ever be a time where I slow down.
I love that. Yes. We were similar in that, yes, you go, oh, I like that idea and I'm going to follow it. But also that
Yeah,
there was something that you like obviously felt called to the Philippines and now you get to
yeah,
include travel. But
yeah.
there's also a lot of there's a lot of giving back in that too, in your businesses, a lot of supporting
Mm.
other people because you're giving all these people.
Well, you're right, Em, and it's really important to both Rob and I that we offer ethical and sustainable employment. We can't change lives if we're not being ethical, and that's why I think I've said to you many times, we we don't just contract our Filipino staff. They're fully full-time employed. They get their medical, they get their holidays, they get their public holidays. I'm not interested in playing, you know, let's make buck here. I want to change lives. I want to change lives of the Australian businesses that we're going into, and I want to change their lives in the Philippines as well. If I can offer them long-term sustainable employment, then they know where their wage check is coming from. So that's part of it. And it's the same in Australia. We're very strict on making sure that we're very, there is no option. But I love that we can train people into new roles and give them a different career path if they choose it.
Oh, it's brilliant. And how does it go? Like, so what is it like living between two places? Like how that, like it just
uh,
feels like a kind of mind blow. I feel like it's quite normal in WA because of the mining space.
yeah,
Like it just blows my mind.
it does. The only thing is that, in Western Australia, we have the FIFO analogy, which is fly in, fly out. So the workers, they fly into the Pilbara, they fly into the goldfields, wherever the work is, and then they fly out and they're on break. So, everyone's under the assumption that we're FIFO as well, but we're not. We're FI. We fly in and we fly in. So we fly into the Pilbara, we come home and we work. And then we fly into Perth and we work. It's just literally about picking ourselves up and taking us to the next place and doing the same thing there, making sure that everything's working there. And then we spend 2 weeks there and then we fly back and we do exactly the same. So, how do I cope with it? I make sure that I have two of everything. I don't travel with a suitcase, I just travel with my handbag. I make sure that everything is at both houses because otherwise I could not think of anything worse than living in a hotel for 2 weeks when I'm in the city. It would just be terrible. Our daughter lives in Perth for uni, so we just have a unit there that we share with her, and then everything's there.
Yeah,
Cars
it's
there, just off we go. It's just another side of life over there, and then we come back and everything's here as well.
yeah,
So
well that
it's the only way I could cope. My brain just could not cope trying to live in a hotel for 2 weeks every month.
and the packing. The
Yeah,
pack like constantly. So that's really wise to have. Even just like the charges. I'm just thinking charges, like having
yeah,
and I've started traveling sometimes. I didn't think I'd ever be this person, but with my pillow. So
yeah.
obviously you've got a house, but like having the same
Ah,
pillow at the two houses, or I've got my two
yeah.
masks, and it was like, oh, I couldn't sleep. These simple things, but
And that's exactly how it works. And we've got the same bed, ordered the same bed, got same pillows, same eye mask, whatever it is, you just have two of it because it just, although the other house in Perth is smaller, it's just you have the same kitchen stuff, just so that it's just seamless. It just works. Otherwise, I think, we've been doing it for 9 years now. I think we would have,
Tucked it in.
pull the pin quicker than that.
Yeah, look, and I say it blows my mind. I think it's just the having the two, but I see it. My in-laws have a holiday house, and I see that
Mm,
they do the same. They'll come up with a very, very small bag because they've got the wardrobe
yeah,
here. They've had that for a long time, and so when you've established that, you
yeah,
get used to it. But then also, people always ask me, and we're a bit more common with remote work now,
yeah,
but like, how do you do it, and how do you? And it's like, well, for me, I don't have like big monitors and stuff for my desk. Like, I don't
yeah,
my laptop and my phone are my work. So I just,
yes,
like, as long as I have my laptop, my phone, my charger, I guess my headphones, and then now I've started to just add to the suite, which is I might travel with my pillow and my eye mask.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
got the noise canceling. It's like, well, if I have those things, they're my comforts, they're my
yes.
home. It doesn't matter what the room looks like,
No,
really.
that's
It's
right.
because this is and
Uh,
it's if this is open and the phone is on and the I'm here, then I'm
yeah,
at work. So um that you I guess get to decide, yeah, what that setup looks like and you
yeah,
make it work for you.
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And, I have a bit of a gypsy soul, so I'm okay with jumping on a plane. It sort of keeps me a bit grounded. And I love the fact that I can, see something different. I'm really happy with that. I would be going crazy if I had to stay in the same place.
It's the well, so I yeah, the airplane I think is amazing thinking space. You and I both
Oh,
we work on the plane. You just
yeah,
get so much
I love
done.
it.
On the way, I came to Perth recently from Brisbane, which is a five
Yeah,
and a half hour flight. I worked the whole time. I was like, give me one of these once a week, and I
I
would,
know.
like, I
It's
will.
brilliant.
I'm coming. I'm just
Yeah, I
wait to
love
do
it.
here I come.
It's where my flight to the city is only 2 hours, but it's still 2 hours of there's no Wi-Fi on the plane. So it's great because I can just catch up on the emails that I haven't done, and clear my inbox, and I start afresh wherever I'm arriving, ready, for the team when I get there. So I can put all my priorities into them while I'm there and then, start afresh again when I get back on the next plane.
And like, I think you have been kind of telling us all along about how you're making it work and what is your pleasure life. But I do always
Mm.
ask people a question on the podcast, which is, what is living a life you love? What does living a life you love look like now?
So for me, it's about having the freedom to travel and see the parts of the world that I want to see while being able to maintain all of the businesses to make sure everything ticks along. So that just means that I need to ensure that my team know exactly what is needed and expected and required from them and how they can support me while I'm doing that.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
it's so wonderful to see it demonstrated. I'll tell you what else was wonderful was getting a message from Tash in the Maldives, with the Kindle or the Maldives behind it, reading my ebook. So she's like, I'm reading about pleasure
I'm
in the
reading it.
Maldives.
I've done it.
And I was like, I'll have a piece of that. Thank you.
Oh,
Just
the Maldives were amazing, and I would go back there at in a millisecond. I'm not one to have a holiday that sits by a pool and reads a book at all. It's just not my personality doesn't sit still, like I mentioned before. But by the time I got to the Maldives at the end of January this year, I was absolutely exhausted. Businesses were going crazy. We were only there for 5 nights. I remember saying to Rob, I am done. I'm spent. I am going to sleep for a week, I think. And we got to our villa and the Wi-Fi wasn't working. And I remember thinking to myself, this is really frustrating. I can't work. I need to get my work done. My team need me. And by the end of the second day, I was like, oh, well, everyone knows I can't be contacted. I just better read this book that Emma wrote. And I laid by the pool and looked at the beautiful view, and it was amazing. It was just really needed at that time. And I think it's about nurturing yourself when you travel, making sure you take time as much as we all want to work. Sometimes it's just difficult. The universe throws you a lifeline, I think, and I think that was my lifeline, the Wi-Fi not working.
Yeah, and it's okay to have those trips, but one of the things I shared in the book is that it doesn't have to be, and I have to remind myself too, not every trip has to be a pleasure trip. Like not every
Yeah,
trip has to incorporate business. It's amazing that we can financially and
Yeah.
And to have this ability to continue the business, but to factor in times of switch off. And
Yeah.
potentially that means going on something like, and I know you don't love them, but like I go on a cruise for 3 nights and I'm like, and I don't buy the Wi-Fi package, and there is no way like a text message is slipping through at all, because if you
There's
don't have the
nothing.
Wi-Fi package, there's nothing. And it's
Yeah.
because it's forced. And I think it's frustrating when you're not planning for it. Like, so on the way over from to Perth, we had Wi-Fi, and so I kind of expected it on the way back. So I hadn't set
Yeah.
up the computer properly. But like I went, oh, like I could kind of type something, or I could write something, or I could like just work on something, but I kind of didn't have that set up. And so I went, I think I'm actually just going to read my book. Not my
Yeah.
book, I've read a
Yeah.
book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I do, but I just actually I think I was practicing for my audiobooks. I think I actually was reading my book. But I
Yeah.
just was like, it's nice to sometimes be just
Be.
a flight to read the book, and
Yeah.
or stare into space or nap, or I don't know, anything. So forcing, maybe having choosing to go somewhere where you are forced into that, even though it's a little bit daunting, it takes a little bit more preparation. Now and that the Maldives might be that ticket for you. And it's like, if
Yeah.
I don't say it's a bit extreme, but maybe sometimes that's what we have to do to get
Well,
that
a
breath.
break. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Just if I have to go to this exotic island, I guess I will.
Well, I guess I better enjoy it.
I love it. Well, I truly admire you, Tash, and
Oh,
it's
thank you.
so. I'm so grateful for your support as a business mentor and as a friend, and I'm extremely excited because you will be coming with me to
Yes.
Nepal at the end of the year. So I'll be interested
Very.
to see if what the level of switch off will be. And
Yeah.
we're going to be doing some work. It's a different type of work. We're doing professional personal development, but I'll be interested to see yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult some days, and other days it's really easy. I know we were recently in Vietnam, and there's a few days there that my mind was awash with everything that was going on back in Australia, and it was very difficult to switch off. And other days it was really easy. So I just, hopefully it'll all go smoothly.
Look, and their choices and challenges of it as well is that like sometimes this small choice or sacrifice is that I put in some work time, and that's what's
Yeah,
required in order to then enjoy the rest of this, so
that's exactly right,
the
Emmy.
walk to the monastery. I really hope that we can not work on that walk, but
Yeah,
then maybe in the morning you do a couple of hours of emails, and that's something that I don't
that's
force on the retreats, because I'm
yeah,
like,
great.
this might be, you might get a really great idea. I'm not going to tell you no emails, no work, because I love sometimes when you're in a good space and you're working on the business, it feels really good. I did like 20 admin emails yesterday, and it felt really great to see them done. And if that
Done.
make you feel good, it's whatever is going to feel good for you.
Mm,
You
yeah,
decide that. I
yeah.
can't decide that for you. You can't decide that for me. And that's your
And
blessing.
that's very much how my brain works. If I can get the emails done in the morning, then I'm good. It's done
I love it.
generally. Yeah, it's good. Thanks,
How do
Em.
we find you, Natasha? How do we find you on the webs, or how can we connect with you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn. I also have both the businesses have a web page. So Title Solutions, Marnin Group, and Amity Resources. So all three of them have web pages. I'm on Facebook, and you're going to ask me my handles, but I don't know them off the
It's
top of my
okay.
head. So
We'll put them in the show notes for everybody.
perfect.
But
Okay.
Natasha Collins on LinkedIn, that's a great one.
Yes.
And then we'll pop the websites in
Yes. Perfect.
as well. But and
Yeah.
do you want to,
Would love to talk to anyone that wants to have a chat.
yeah, reach if you can't find them all, then just ask me and I will point you in the right direction. So
Perfect.
thank you so much. It's been a joy
Thanks
to
for your time. Thanks, Em.